There is a truth most people spend their entire lives trying to avoid. The world does not reward potential. It rewards endurance. A man may possess talent greater than those around him. He may carry dreams large enough to fill the horizon. He may speak of ambition, purpose, and destiny. Yet, if he cannot withstand disappointment, criticism, failure, and hardship, his gifts will remain buried beneath the weight of his own surrender. Many people believe their greatest enemy is outside themselves. They blame circumstance. They blame bad luck. They blame unfair treatment. But the harshest battles are rarely fought in the streets of the world. They are fought in the silent chambers of the human heart. The greatest danger is not defeat. The greatest danger is becoming the kind of person who stops trying because defeat arrived. Listen carefully. Every generation produces men and women who could have changed their lives, transformed their communities, and altered the course of history. Most never do. Not because they lacked intelligence. Not because they lacked opportunity. Not because they lacked strength. They failed because they misunderstood suffering. They believed hardship was evidence that they were on the wrong road. In truth, hardship is often proof that you have finally begun the journey. The strongest oak in the forest did not become strong because the weather was kind. It became strong because the storms were relentless. Every powerful character you admire was forged in difficulty. Every respected leader was tested before being trusted. Every lasting achievement was built by hands that refused to quit when progress became invisible. Life has a strange way of disguising opportunity. It often arrives wearing the clothes of disappointment. A closed door, a public failure, a broken plan, a season of loneliness, an unexpected setback. Most people see these moments and conclude that the story is over. The resilient person understands something different. They understand that endings are often beginnings wearing unfamiliar faces. When darkness arrives, average people ask, "Why is this happening to me?" The resilient ask, "What is this teaching me?" That single question changes everything, because suffering without meaning creates bitterness. But suffering with purpose creates strength. The world is full of people waiting for conditions to improve before they become disciplined, waiting for confidence before they become courageous, waiting for certainty before they take action. And while they wait, years disappear, dreams fade, potential withers. Meanwhile, those who rise above the crowd understand a powerful secret. Action creates confidence. Responsibility creates strength. Perseverance creates character. You do not become resilient by studying resilience. You become resilient by surviving what you thought would break you. That is why setbacks are not interruptions to greatness. They are the training ground of greatness. And if you can understand that lesson, if you can hold on to it when life becomes difficult, then every disappointment that once seemed like an obstacle will become a stepping stone. Because the comeback always begins the moment a person refuses to stay down. And that is where our journey begins. There comes a moment in every meaningful life when the illusion of comfort begins to crack. It is not a dramatic moment. It rarely arrives with trumpets or warning signs. Instead, it appears quietly. A plan fails, a trusted friend leaves, a career collapses, a dream that once seemed certain slips through your fingers, and suddenly you stand face to face with a question that cannot be avoided. Will this hardship define you, or will it develop you? Most people never realize how much of their life is controlled by fear. Fear disguises itself as caution. Fear disguises itself as practicality. Fear disguises itself as waiting for the right moment. Yet beneath every disguise remains the same force: the fear of failure, the fear of embarrassment, the fear of discovering one's limits. But there is something more dangerous than failure. It is living beneath your potential, because fear convinced you not to try. Many spend decades building prisons from their own excuses. They tell themselves they are too old, too young, too unlucky, too far behind. The years pass, and those excuses become walls. Soon, they are no longer protecting themselves from disappointment. They are protecting themselves from possibility. The human spirit was not designed for comfort alone. It was designed for growth, and growth demands resistance. A river becomes powerful because it continues moving despite every obstacle placed in its path. A blade becomes sharp because it survives the grinding stone. A human being becomes extraordinary through the same law. Pressure reveals character. Difficulty exposes weakness. Adversity uncovers hidden strength. The turning point in life is rarely the moment everything becomes easier. More often, it is the moment you decide to become stronger. That decision changes the meaning of every struggle. The obstacle no longer appears as punishment. It becomes preparation. The delay becomes training. The setback becomes education. The failure becomes instruction. When viewed through that lens, life transforms. You stop asking why the mountain exists. You begin learning how to climb. You stop demanding a lighter burden. You begin building stronger shoulders. That shift is the birth of resilience. History remembers individuals who endured far more than they ever expected. Not because they were fearless. Not because they never doubted. Not because they possessed some mysterious advantage. They endured because they refused to surrender ownership of their future. They understood that circumstances may influence a person's path, but they do not possess the authority to determine a person's destiny. There is remarkable power in accepting responsibility. Not because you control everything. You do not. No one does. Storms will come. Losses will occur. Injustice will sometimes prevail, but responsibility gives you control over the one territory that matters most, your response. You cannot always choose the events that enter your life. You can choose the spirit with which you meet them. And in that choice resides tremendous power. A setback may knock you to your knees. It does not have the authority to keep you there. Failure may wound your pride. It does not have the authority to destroy your purpose. A difficult season may test your endurance. It does not have the authority to define your future. The moment you recognize this truth, something begins to change within you. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances. You begin seeing yourself as the author of your response. And that realization marks the beginning of every great comeback. Because before a person can transform their life, they must first transform the meaning they assign to their struggles. The strongest among us are not those who avoid adversity. They are those who discover how to convert adversity into strength. And once that lesson is learned, a new chapter begins. A chapter built not on comfort, but on character. A chapter that reveals the timeless virtues capable of carrying a person through any storm. Character is not built when life is easy. Character is revealed when life becomes difficult. Anyone can appear confident when success arrives effortlessly. Anyone can appear disciplined when motivation is abundant. Anyone can appear courageous when there is little risk. But true character emerges when the applause disappears, when progress slows, and when the road ahead seems uncertain. That is where the deepest lessons of resilience are learned. The first lesson is discipline. Discipline is often misunderstood. Many believe it is a form of punishment. In reality, it is a form of freedom. The undisciplined person becomes a servant to moods, impulses, distractions, and circumstances. The disciplined person becomes the master of them. A man who cannot govern himself will spend his life being governed by everything around him. The strongest individuals are not those who feel motivated every day. They are those who continue moving when motivation has abandoned them. They understand a powerful truth. Feelings are temporary. Principles endure. The second lesson is patience. Modern life encourages urgency. People want immediate results, immediate recognition, immediate rewards. But nature teaches a different lesson. The tallest trees spend years growing roots before they rise toward the sky. The strongest foundations are built beneath the surface, where no one can see them. Patience is not passive waiting. Patience is disciplined persistence. It is the ability to continue working faithfully, even when visible results have not yet appeared. Many dreams die because people quit during the invisible season. They abandon the process moments before progress begins to reveal itself. The resilient understand that worthwhile achievements often require longer journeys than expected. The third lesson is courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action despite fear. Every meaningful opportunity requires a leap into uncertainty. Every significant achievement demands a willingness to risk failure. Fear whispers that safety is found in remaining where you are. Experience teaches otherwise. Growth has always lived beyond the boundaries of comfort. Every chapter of advancement begins with a decision to move forward despite doubt. The fourth lesson is responsibility. Responsibility is one of the most powerful forces available to a human being. The moment you accept responsibility for your choices, your habits, your mindset, and your future, you reclaim authority over your life. Excuses may provide temporary comfort. Responsibility creates lasting power. One keeps you stagnant. The other moves you forward. Those who become extraordinary stop spending energy assigning blame. They invest their energy creating solutions. The fifth lesson is self-control. This virtue rarely attracts attention. It rarely receives applause. Yet it quietly determines the direction of entire lives. Great destinies are often won or lost in ordinary moments. A decision to remain focused when distraction is available. A decision to remain calm when anger feels justified. A decision to remain faithful to principles when shortcuts seem tempting. Small choices repeated consistently become powerful forces over time. A single day may seem insignificant. A single habit may appear harmless, but years are built from days. Destiny is built from habits. This is why resilience is not merely surviving hardship. It is becoming stronger because of hardship. It is developing qualities that cannot be purchased, borrowed, or inherited. Discipline, patience, courage, responsibility, self-control. These virtues become anchors during storms and guides during uncertainty. They transform ordinary individuals into steady leaders. They create people who remain standing when others surrender. And perhaps most importantly, they prepare a person for the path ahead, because greatness is not a matter of talent alone. It is a matter of what you repeatedly do when no one is watching. It is the result of countless choices made in private before they are ever visible in public. The road to greatness does not begin with extraordinary circumstances. It begins with ordinary decisions made extraordinarily well. And that road is where our journey now leads. Greatness is one of the most misunderstood, ideas in human history. Many assume it belongs to a fortunate few. They imagine greatness is reserved for those born with exceptional talent, uncommon intelligence, or extraordinary opportunity. But history tells a different story. Again and again, the individuals who leave a lasting mark on the world begin as ordinary people, facing ordinary struggles. Their advantage is rarely brilliance. Their advantage is persistence. They discover something most people overlook. Success is not created in a single moment. It is built through thousands of moments. A single decision to continue when quitting feels easier. A single commitment honored when no one would know if it had been broken. A single step forward taken despite uncertainty. Those moments appear small, yet over time they become powerful. A river does not carve a canyon through sudden force. It carves a canyon through consistent force. Human achievement follows the same principle. The path to greatness is rarely dramatic. It is often quiet. It is found in early mornings when discipline defeats comfort. It is found in long evenings when commitment outlasts fatigue. It is found in the determination to improve by a small margin every day. Most people underestimate the power of consistency because its rewards are delayed. They seek dramatic transformation. They search for shortcuts. They wait for breakthroughs. Meanwhile, the resilient person focuses on daily progress. They understand that remarkable results are often the accumulation of ordinary efforts, repeated over many years. This way of thinking changes everything. The question is no longer, how quickly can I succeed? The question becomes, how faithfully can I continue? That shift separates temporary enthusiasm from lasting achievement. Purpose also plays a vital role. Without purpose, hardship feels unbearable. Without purpose, obstacles appear meaningless. Without purpose, discipline becomes difficult to sustain. But when a person possesses a clear reason for moving forward, endurance becomes possible. Purpose transforms sacrifice into investment. It transforms effort into significance. It transforms struggle into progress. The strongest individuals are not always those with the easiest roads. They are often those with the clearest sense of mission. Their purpose provides direction when circumstances create confusion. It provides energy when motivation fades. It provides hope when results seem distant. Long-term thinking is another hallmark of resilient people. Average thinking is trapped by the present moment. Resilient thinking extends beyond immediate discomfort. It sees years where others see days. It sees possibilities where others see problems. It understands that temporary pain often produces permanent growth. A farmer does not dig up seeds every week to check their progress. He trusts the process. He works diligently. He remains patient. Then, in time, the harvest arrives. The same principle applies to life. Many abandon their goals because they judge the future based on present difficulties. They forget that today's struggles are not tomorrow's conclusions. Every great achievement once existed as an unseen possibility. Every triumph was once uncertain. Every comeback began when success was still invisible. This is why persistence possesses such remarkable power. Persistence allows ordinary effort to become extraordinary achievement. Persistence bridges the gap between intention and accomplishment. Persistence turns potential into reality. There will be moments when progress feels painfully slow. Moments when others doubt you. Moments when you doubt yourself. Moments when the distance between where you are and where you wish to be seems overwhelming. In those moments, remember this: the greatest victories are often closest when surrender feels most tempting. The person who endures one more day, one more challenge, one more disappointment, often discovers opportunities that never reveal themselves to those who quit. The path to greatness has never required perfection. It has always required perseverance. And perseverance, sustained long enough, creates something remarkable. It creates a life that becomes proof that setbacks need not be endings. They can become the foundation upon which extraordinary futures are built. That truth leads us to the final and most important lesson of all. If there is one lesson life teaches more clearly than any other, it is this: the measure of a person is not found in the number of victories they experience. It is found in what they become through adversity. Years from now, the hardships that trouble you today may not even be remembered by those around you. The disappointments, the failures, the rejections, the setbacks. Many of them will fade into history, but the character they build within you will remain. That is the hidden gift contained inside every struggle. Life has a way of testing people before trusting them. Before strength comes resistance. Before wisdom comes hardship. Before leadership comes responsibility. Before triumph comes endurance. This pattern has repeated itself across generations. It is woven into the fabric of every meaningful achievement. The challenge is that while you are living through difficulty, it rarely feels like preparation. It feels like frustration. It feels like uncertainty. It feels like darkness. Yet some of the most important chapters of your story are written in those very moments. Not when everything goes according to plan. Not when circumstances are favorable. But when you decide to keep moving despite every reason to stop. That decision carries extraordinary power. Because every comeback begins long before anyone else can see it. It begins in private. It begins when a person refuses to surrender their future to temporary pain. It begins when they choose faith over despair, action over excuses, responsibility over blame, growth over comfort. The world often celebrates visible success, the promotion, the achievement, the recognition, the victory. But what the world rarely sees is the invisible battle that came first, the lonely mornings, the difficult decisions, the repeated failures, the quiet determination, the countless moments when giving up would have been easier. Those unseen moments are where greatness is born. Never underestimate the value of persistence. Persistence has carried countless individuals through storms they believed they could never survive. Persistence has rebuilt dreams that appeared lost. Persistence has transformed weakness into strength and obstacles into opportunities. More often than not, the difference between those who succeed and those who surrender is not talent. It is endurance. One continues, the other stops. That simple distinction changes entire lives. Perhaps today you find yourself standing in the middle of a difficult season. Perhaps you are carrying burdens no one else fully understands. Perhaps you have experienced setbacks that have shaken your confidence. If so, remember this. Your story is not finished. This chapter is not the conclusion. A setback is not a final verdict. A failure is not a permanent identity. A difficult season is not a life sentence. As long as you continue moving forward, possibility remains alive. The future has not yet spoken its final word. There is still strength within you that has not been discovered. There is still courage within you that has not been tested. There is still potential within you that has not been realized. And there is still a version of yourself waiting on the other side of perseverance. A stronger version, a wiser version, a more resilient version. The person you are becoming may one day look back on these struggles with gratitude. Not because the pain was pleasant, but because the pain produced growth, because the setbacks created strength, because the obstacles revealed character, because the storms taught endurance, and because the difficulties that once seemed determined to defeat, you ultimately became the very things that prepared you to rise. So stand up. Stand up after the disappointment. Stand up after the failure. Stand up after the criticism. Stand up after the loss. Stand up after the setback. Stand up as many times as necessary. For the people who leave the greatest legacy are not those who never fall. They are those who refuse to remain on the ground. Hold your principles. Guard your character. Honor your responsibilities. Trust the value of persistence. And remember this timeless truth. Every setback carries within it the seed of a greater comeback. The storm will pass. The road will open. The lesson will reveal itself. And one day, when others ask how you overcame the obstacles that once stood in your way, your answer will be simple. You endured, you learned, you grew, and you never gave up. That is the path of resilience. That is the road to greatness. That is the wisdom that survives every generation. And if you choose it, it can become your story too.